So we are live on Facebook and YouTube on my channels, and I am in your waiting room on Facebook Live.
Oh, goody. On Facebook Live, it's like waiting for you to let me into the live.
Yeah. People can see you when you're in the room.
Awesome. Okay. Hey, it says Diane is here. Hi, Diane. Now, how do we get Dr. Miller here is the question. Let's see.
Well, as we technically inept work on our streams, this is Dr. Miller with Integrated Health of Indiana, and we are doing our team talk. And today I have Coach Val, as she is working feverishly on the other monitor trying to get her stream live.
Well, if worse comes to worse, they can hear you on my speaker. So maybe we'll just go that way since it's not letting me add you to the live. It'll be like a radio broadcast, but you just get to watch me.
It's like a one-way radio broadcast. That's great. Well, as long as they can hear me.
Yeah. Diane, can you let me know since you're here? Can you hear me, Diane? If you just let me know. I'm pretty sure you should be able to, but yes, I'm pretty sure you can. Good. Awesome. I'm just going to tag some people as we get started, but welcome, Dr. Miller. I'm excited to have you here. We've known each other for a few years.
Oh, goodness.
A lot.
Yes. How long has it? Well, when we first met, I believe you had just moved from up north and you were working at Rose Acres. And that, yes, and that was a while ago. And boy, have you grown since then. I'm telling you, it has been an amazing transformation watching this young lady grow. And so, Val, for my group, who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
All right. Well, I'm Valerie Hoganson, aka Pontario on Facebook. That's my maiden name. I guess I can change it here.
I don't know what you did. We'll just mute that for a second, and then I'll bring her back.
Okay.
So I would kill one of your window, the one that's not showing. I would kill that window.
Okay.
There we are. Now the echo. Yep, the echo is gone.
Amazing. Awesome. So yeah, my name is Valerie Pontario. Hoganson is my married name. My maiden name is Pontario. So if you see me on social media with two names, that's why. And I'm a holistic nutrition coach. I also am a Reiki Master practitioner, and I also teach yoga. I'm a certified yoga fit instructor, and I teach 3 classes a week here at Full Body Fitness, which is a gym right in North Vernon here. And I have a program online where you can access all of the things, yoga, Reiki, nutrition coaching, just all of the tools that I've used throughout the years, and get a full, here you go, like accountability with staying true to your nutrition. I tend to work with a lot of other Reiki practitioners, a lot of other people in agriculture that just need more accountability and really, really are committed to going all in to learn how to change their lifestyle so that they can, have a flourishing life financially, spiritually, mentally, go on trips and be able to really flourish. So they're living their best life and using holistic techniques. And yeah, that's what I do. Did I answer all the questions?
Well, what's your website so I can post it here for everyone?
Oh, okay. So if you want my website, it's holisticwithvalerie.com. I'm also really active on social media. Lots of how I market and a lot of my education and promotion is through social media. So if you want to find me on social, let's be friends on Instagram or Facebook.
Well, I will post that. Did I do that right? Does the
That
link
is
look
perfect.
correct?
Yes.
And so when I first saw you, you were fatigued, brain foggish. I can't think of the other. You were also hurting. And aside from, let me explain to my demographic here. I know we're dealing with both demographics, but when you deal with functional medicine, you want to deal with the entire person. Now, I wish I walked on water and was God and could say that I deal with every facet of stuff, but there's a lot of things like yoga. There's a lot of things that require high touch points. I give out nutrition plans, but somebody like Valerie keeps you accountable. That's why now, with our functional medicine program, for people who go into the functional medicine program and do the top tier of the functional medicine program, the accountability coach, excuse me, is built into that. And that's something that we have to start to build a community so that people realize and support each other, because what we deal with now, if you watch television, I haven't watched television regularly since 2012. And I will be the first to say that it brings out the worst in me, because it does nothing but feed upon that little part of the brain called the amygdala. It wants an emotional reaction, and that's how they work. And it took me a long time before I found meditation and yoga and stuff like that to bring that part down. And those are the things that chiropractors, um, functional medicine practitioners, we will tell you to do. But it's somebody like Valerie that actually pulls that off. And she has an interesting story. If you want to, for just a few minutes, I realize your Facebook group has heard this probably, but it doesn't hurt them to hear it again about your journey and what your struggles were.
Yeah, definitely. Like I realized today, like all the struggles I've ever been through are so that I can better relate to others and help them through what they're going through too. But I grew up on a dairy farm. My mom is actually live in this Facebook group. You might see Pontario Holsteins. That's my mom. And yeah, she was commenting. She said, "Hi, Dr. Miller." So thanks for the support, mother. I love my family. They taught me so many good values about, like, we had to wake up every morning before school and milk cows and feed calves in West Central Wisconsin. I really loved agriculture. I thought it was really neat how, um, like when my dad let us get chickens, like how neat it was. You could go out to the coop and just collect all these eggs. Like I had this cool bicycle with a bicycle basket on the front. And I remember like going to the coop and like coming back with that whole basket full of eggs. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever to catch all those eggs. So naturally, I wanted to go to school for animal science. So I got a job down here in Southern Indiana at Roseacre Farms and loved that. I was on my career path. Like I felt like I was in the right place. I was ready to get started working. And 6 months into working at Rose Acres, I remember just feeling really crappy. Like I was walking about 18 to 12,000 steps a day there, and my legs were tired every single day. I was 21 years old, just turned 22 actually. I had sore feet and legs all the time. And the only thing that I knew to do to help it was yoga. So I was doing some yoga, but I was like, I didn't know a lot of yogis. I wasn't in the yogi community. I just watched YouTube videos, and sometimes like I would do these down dogs and different stretches. But um, I went to visit Integrated Health of Indiana because Elaine was working there, and I got a massage from her, and I was like, yeah, telling her about all my problems, how I was dealing with my sore legs and feet. also back pain, and I was lethargic. I was waking up in the morning just really dog tired at 22. Like I was living my best life. Like I was making good money. Like I moved to this town, got my big girl job. Like I was fully insured and I still had no energy. I was like, what's up with this? So Miss Elaine was telling me about chiropractic and also the yoga classes at Integrated Health at the time. So I checked in and got into yoga a lot more regularly and consistently with that community. And I just loved yoga. Like every day, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday after when when I wasn't working on Saturdays after work, I'd go to yoga and it was so perfect. Like I didn't need any more workouts. Yoga helped me stretch and relax. And um, I started getting more involved with Integrated Health of Indiana. You guys had those cooking classes about paleo, and you introduced me to all these books that are about, like, Dr. Joseph Mercola's books, Effortless Healing. Um, who is the other guy? The Keto Bulletproof Coffee guy. I read a bunch of his stuff. Game Changers, I think. Yeah.
Dave Asprey.
Dave Asprey. Yeah. And it just opened my eyes to how much potential we have to heal from these foods and from herbal remedies and a lifestyle change rather than having to just, like, I was always afraid that I'd have migraines like my mom did growing up. I just was just fearing the day that I'd get a really bad migraine, or even cancer. I know cancer runs in my family, so I was always fearful of, what if I get cancer? Like, how am I going to overcome it? And when I started learning all these, it really empowered me that, hey, I have a choice to live better so that I can do as much as I can do to be healthy and live healthy without having to spend a lot of money. Like, yeah, sometimes some of these recipes and foods require a little more shopping, a little more effort than I was used to with growing up on frozen pizza and just a lot of TV dinners and stuff like that, which was, it was fine. Like, it kept me alive for sure. So I'm grateful that I had food, but it was like, okay, I can do even better. And yeah, I just really watched my skin clear up. Like, I go back into if you go back in my social media, you'll see like Valerie in high school looks fatter and more overweight and older than I did when I was 22, 23, 24. And like, just like, I mean, I let go of some alcohol, some drinking. I had pretty bad addiction problem when I was in my 21, 22 years old. So yeah, it works when I put forth the effort and when I stay in community. Sometimes it's hard because old habits, bad habits keep me stuck in the stress and overwhelm and anxiety, where when I hang out with people who are constantly looking to improve themselves, eating clean, are living a healthier lifestyle, where instead of going on vacation and like overeating junk food on a cruise or drinking all day, all night, where I'm hanging out in community with other people whose vacations are like travel and adventure and backpacking and hiking, then it's like, oh man, yeah, that's who I want to be like. I'm around that energy. It's easy to make better choices.
Well, and that's one thing for everybody to start to really think about. Your microbiome really likes calm. Your microbiome does not like stress, and it will answer to that. Um, to defend mom and dad, hey, we thought pizzas were okay. That's that.
It was better than stress about food and having to cook for all of
Yeah.
us kids.
And so they did the best that they knew how. I did the best for my kids that I knew how. And we're just learning more. And that's okay. It's okay to learn more and to be like, oh, maybe that wasn't that good of an idea. And so for me, learning about fructose, for instance, it goes through the body just like alcohol. So if I wanted to have a drink and I'm still going to go have Mountain Dews when I used to drink those things, now all of a sudden it's, I'm putting a double whammy to the body, and the microbiome will start to shift and change. And they will change your behavior. The enteric nervous system is very wired, and you probably all have heard of what they call the gut brain axis. The gut brain axis is where your bacteria in your stomach, which is 90% of your genetic material. So if they do a DNA test on you, 90% of that is bacterial DNA. That is only 10% human DNA. And we mess it up with what we eat. I actually just did another, I don't know how I double book. Well, I know how I double booked. I forgot, like I said, Val, to actually write this appointment. I knew we had one to write this appointment in my calendar. And I double booked Omnibiotic, which is a new, they're a new probiotic supplier for us. And I double booked the COO of Omnibiotic to with you. So you guys are back to back. So I went back to back meetings. And they actually were talking about that whole gut brain axis and how your gut, if you're stressed and you have more, they weren't talking about this aspect, but if you have more firmicutes in your body, you're more pro-inflamed. So to your point where you were saying when you were younger and you were drinking and doing your party stage of life, you're more inflamed, and that's why you aged faster. That's why you looked that way, because you had more pro-inflammatory cytokines and hormones going through your body. And we saw that when we did your test. Sorry, I didn't ask your permission to say that I
Share
tested.
away. No, it's all good.
So, and recently I did an N of 1 on myself. So those of you that watched the previous video will have heard a little bit of this, but for our anniversary, I was in Santa Barbara and I started to eat the fermented sourdough bread because that's what San Francisco is known for and all of this stuff. Didn't go off the rails, but I knew what my numbers were. And my cholesterol by medical standards is high, but it was in the good pattern A, which is cardioprotective. And then I figured it out. There were 63 meals. 9 of the 63 meals were crap. So that's a very small percentage. Whatever that, divide 9 by 63 times by 100, that's the percentage of meals that I had. And that's less than 10%, 9, just a hair over 10% of my meals were one sandwich from a fast food joint. And you're talking to somebody, otherwise, I am doing my intermittent fasting. I am watching everything that I do. And Jessica, as I've said time and time again, does not cook crappy meals at home. And so I'm eating Brussels sprouts and broccoli and peppers and all good stuff. Took my cholesterol from 244 to 340. Took my triglycerides to over 150 from 56. So all of my metrics that say that I am having cardiovascular disease actively happening inside my body is happening. And that's all pro-inflammatory, and that is killing myself from the inside out. But that's how toxic the food is. And so it's amazing to me. I have a hypothesis that those people that are eating that stuff every day, they just don't know how bad they feel until they get out of it. And it's like they say, a fish doesn't know it's in water until you pull it out. And once they start to get out of that, I mean, so you've walked this path, you're walking your walk, you're being congruent with yourself. How many times have you strayed from the path, and how bad do you feel when you do it?
It's funny you asked that question, because this past weekend I was on a retreat, and you had challenged me a few months ago for the month of October, no caffeine, no processed foods other than from green tea or black tea. And I stuck to it religiously. I didn't go off. I didn't stray. I said, I'll bite the bullet. I won't drink these processed protein bars and drinks, and no energy drinks and stuff like that. And this past weekend, I ate some things. I ate a protein bar that I normally was consuming earlier this year. And as soon as I ate that protein bar, I felt my fingers go numb.
And that's how, when you start to get in tune, People have probably heard of intuitive eating, and that's part of it. That's your body saying, this is not something that I want. It's not something that I'm supposed to exist on. I was laughing with the lady before that the microbiome requires fiber. The typical American gets between 8 and 12 grams of fiber a day. This drink that you see here, which looks very unappetizing, it's not sweet. It just is what it is: an avocado and an apple and some chia seeds and stuff. That drink has 56 grams of carbs. Fiber. I get more fiber in one smoothie than most people get in 3 days, 4 days. And how do we get that word out? That's why I talk about you. I hand out your cards. How do we get the people that are listening also? We want that intuitive eating to happen, and we want people to stay away from this other stuff. Tell everybody, that stuff is not good. Stay away from it for a month and then try to go back and eat it and see what happens and see how you feel. I have a question for you. If there's any one thing that you could change to make the biggest impact on people, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a good question. It would be, I think for the most people that I work with, that I talk to, I really like anti-inflammatory foods, like just eating more of those anti-inflammatories, lemon juice, spinach, like you talked about, the chia, the apple, like just like high fiber foods. Eat more of those, and it can help negate and offset. Like you'll get more energy, you'll be more hydrated, aches and pains will go away. Like the skin problems that I had, like acne and stuff like that, would go away simply by just adding more of those. Not necessarily don't take anything away right away. Don't feel like you need to like get rid of all of it. Like, it just depends on your level of commitment. If you decide that, hey, I really want to change and I'm done suffering, let all of it go and just, add more of those anti-inflammatory fruits and vegetables and make it taste good.
It can.
It can.
At times, my smoothie tastes awesome, but today I was running out of stuff, so I just threw together what I had, and it's definitely different. To get the fiber up, I had to add a lot more nuts to it. So, but to her point about being anti-inflammatory, if your gut is in good shape, and let's just back up. I've been talking a lot about the gut, but to Coach Val's strengths about becoming more parasympathetic, so meditating, taking the time to take care of your body by doing yoga, because yoga is a very low impact exercise. And what yoga does for you is it also takes you parasympathetic, but it helps move lymph and it helps your body drain bad stuff. And that's why you should always be drinking water with it as well. But these things that relax you are needed. And in our day-to-day life, we do not take care of ourselves. We're always going on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that keeps you in that sympathetic mode. And you know what? For a few hours of the day while you're doing your thing, that's absolutely okay, because there's a time to do work, but then there's a time to do rest. And you need to make those things a habit. And just like she said, you know what? Don't take everything out all at once. Put in good habits and work on one good habit at a time. And that's what health coaches do. That's what she's trained to do. I'm trained to tell you what to do. I'm like a teacher, 2 + 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. She helps you go through those steps. And that's where we all need a little help. There's 4 pillars to health, and they're gross pillars, as I say, because they encompass a lot. But the first one is sleep. You got to be aiming, you need to give your body an 8-hour sleep opportunity. After that, you have nutrition. After that, you have movement. And movement and nutrition are yin and yang. They are the flip sides of the coin. And then, but see, then you can go into movement and say, okay, you do need yoga as restorative movement and movement for balance and to work on these things so that the CNS doesn't just forget what to do. And that's a test that we can do is look at your balance. If you can't stand on one leg and balance, then you are neurologically aging. The connection between your brain and the muscles is getting rusty, and you have to work on that. And so then there is high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training fatigues the body. It tells the muscles, hey, I need more mitochondria. I have to be able to lift this thing and go fast. And so there is a time for that. But I used to train 5 days a week at that level, and that's called overtraining. And so at 51, I have to train to not get hurt. And most everybody on this podcast and whatnot, you're not going to be professional. You're not in that 1 to 3%. And I'm 51. I'm not going professional in anything other than chiropractic, functional medicine, and acupuncture. And most of us aren't going to go, are you going to become a ballerina, Valerie? No. And so we have to train to keep this vessel in shape for the game of life. And so Dr. Peter Attia he calls it the Centenarian Olympics. If you want to live to be 100 years old, there are a set of things that you have to be able to do so that you can do these things when you're 100. Can you do a squat and pick up a 40-pound weight from a squat? Can you balance on one leg for 10 to 15 seconds? Can you carry 50 pounds of luggage through a airport terminal? You know, these are things that are functional, and that's the way we need to think as normal people, not as professional athletes. And then last but not least is that community piece. If they have an interesting statistic that even if you come from a fit family, if your friends are unfit, you are 60 some odd percent going to be unfit. And here's the actual very interesting statistic. If your friend is fit, but his friends are unfit, you still have close to a 50% chance of being unfit. So it's like this being fat and out of shape is almost contagious. And I say fat, hey, my waist to hip ratio is a 1, which puts me at increased for cardiovascular disease. But I'm doing stuff about that. I'm not trying to body shame anybody. What I want people to know is if your waist hip ratio, if you're a guy and your waist hip ratio is 0.9 or greater, you are at risk for cardiovascular disease. That's what the studies say. If you're female and your waist hip ratio is greater than 0.8, you're at risk for cardiovascular disease. And so these are the things that we have to know that what the studies say. And you know what? Some people can come in with arthritis and it's because of what they eat. Some people can come in with arthritis and it's because they lack the nutrients to power the pathways to detoxify. Multiple symptoms can have one cause, and one cause can cause multiple symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is something that is very, very intriguing. I've taken up about 30 minutes of your time. Are there any questions? We haven't gone to any questions or anything like that. How's your crew doing? My crew says hello.
I was looking through the groups that I posted this in to see if there was any questions. I haven't seen any, but if you guys are watching within Limitless, the 6-month program. If you're in that and you're watching and you have questions, feel free to ask. And then same too, if you're in the Everything Holistic Community Facebook, feel free to ask. Dr. Miller is here to answer questions. I
And
know for me too, like when I started getting those blood tests and doing the hormone checks, and what you did for me earlier this spring, with your testing and going back through my history and everything, that was so game changer for me. I was at a point in my weight loss journey where I was really stuck. And ever since I started working with you, I released, did we say it was 30 pounds of fat?
yeah,
And this is already after I had been working out in the gym and like doing a lot for myself. It was just like I was at like kind of this place where I was stuck. But like too, being in the community at Integrated Health has really helped me just stay accountable too. And I have a coach myself that holds me accountable every day. Like my coach seen what I ate yesterday, everything. Every day in and day out, he sees it.
never stops.
It never stops. Like today, he'll see that I ate 3 tacos for lunch and they were amazing, but he knows exactly what's in them. And in the process too, I've learned about nutrition just from staying committed to that. So it's fun.
Well, and that's like anything. It's time and repetition, and that's what counts. Zig Ziglar says, "You have not failed until you quit, but once you quit, it's done." So, and I like to tell people because they say, "Well, am I too old? Can I still recover?" What? Until you stop breathing, you can recover. But once you stop breathing, yeah, that's a no go. I can't raise people from the dead. I don't know any doctor that can.
Yes. If anybody has questions, I see Ronnie's on here. If you guys have any questions for Dr. Miller, don't be afraid in the comments just to post your question and we can answer it. Anything, whether it's about chiropractic, nutrition, testing, like the tests that I've had done to see like, hey, you need this supplement, you need this supplement. And then I started implementing those supplements and wow, like I didn't think I was ever somebody in this life who would see abs, but I started to get abs. That wasn't even one of my goals. I was just like, I just don't want to feel like I have no energy all day. And I want my skin to clear up. And when I stick to those supplements, it works.
So we have one on my side that says I went keto in 2018, lost 60 pounds. Since 2020, I've gained most of it back and I'm not keto anymore. I work 2 jobs and work about 60 hours a week. I have a pinched nerve in my neck, so I have not been able to do a lot of exercise like kickboxing and stuff that you used to do. I'm 51 and I feel my joints and hands hurt and are inflamed. So to this person, I'm going to post this to the screen. I'll give you about a minute before I don't post it. If you want to say don't post it, just put don't post it there. But I will start to address this. And what I will say is I started my health journey and I actually started a lot of patients on balancing stuff. I believe we even talked about it for a short time, Val, about being keto, about starting to be ketogenic. And you have to think about, if I'm going to cut a piece of paper, a pencil is a tool, but it is not the tool to cut a piece of paper. That's keto. Keto is a tool. And what does that tool do? That tool starts to decrease insulin, thereby increasing insulin sensitivity. I myself went keto for 5 years, I think it was. And then I got to a point to where there was nothing else that I could do and I was stuck. And so I had to figure out why this happened. And so when I started to look at that and I did my microbiome test, I found out that I actually had a little guy in me. Basophilia wadsworthia is the name of the bacteria. And this bacteria is very pro-inflammatory, and he is what you will cultivate when you have a keto diet. And he becomes very, I don't want to say pro-arthritic, but he hurts the joints. The perfect diet would be a diet that A, doesn't have any processed or ultra processed foods, but it is the diet that supports your microbiome where you are at this point in time. And then you want to bring all of that diversity back. And as you bring that diversity back, then it allows you to eat anything that you want to eat within the boundaries of healthy, whole, not processed, and you get to enjoy it. Does that mean you can never have a Big Mac again? No. But I'll tell you right now, once you start to straighten your gut out, and once you start to address the inflammation, and once you really start to eat right, a Big Mac does not taste the same way it did before you started changing yourself. And that's the whole thing. When you're talking about being inflamed, you are inflamed. And keto is part of why you're inflamed. On average, your keto diet does not give you the amount of fiber that you should have. The keto diet, most people do the dirty keto diet. And so they're eating bacon and they're eating chicken and they're eating turkey and steak, and they are getting zero fiber. And so you are killing off your bacteria in the gut, and your keystone species like Akkermansia, who helps repair the gut lining and the slime layer in the gut, you have just taken its food source away. So what happens then? Then it starts to eat the very stuff that you want it to produce because that's what it needs. You have to feed it fiber. It depends on fiber, and it's not just metamucil fiber. We're talking about soluble and insoluble fiber. You have to have it all. And so, yeah, you've probably started to give yourself a little bit of leaky gut. And as you get that, then other things will start to happen. You'll start to have autoimmune issues. Women in my practice typically start to have problems with thyroid. Is that, yes, that's called dysbiosis. So the next question is this: is that why the body gets gassy? Absolutely, because once you start to feed the fiber back in, those bacteria start to eat that, and unless you've gone in and culled out the bad bacteria, they start to give you methane producers and hydrogen sulfide producers. And these guys will go in and make you gassy, and it will be foul smelling. And if you have the maturity of a 12-year-old, you think it's pretty funny at first. But then after that, no, it's not funny because it's all the time and it hurts. And you don't want that. It's normal to have gas, but it's not normal to have methane and hydrogen sulfide gas. So that's where you really got to think about that. If you have gas, it should not be this foul smelling stuff. So it's a process. I close my eyes because it's not hard work. It's just a lot of work, and it's a lot of consistent work. But it is worth it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't tell other people to do it. I just know that this is how the conversation goes. Yeah, I eat XYZ foods. Can I eat these things? Can I do? No, no, no. These are where you got to go. This is what you got to eat. This is why you got to do it. You can take these supplements to heal the gut, and it can be overwhelming. And we don't want to overwhelm. What we want to do, to Valerie, Coach Val's point is we want to start to change one thing and get that to be a habit. And then we change the next thing. and we get that to be a habit. And then eventually it's like, if you want to save $1 million, how do you save $1 million? You start putting money away every day, and then eventually it grows. Miss Sharon, I will point you to, on my screen, Val's over here. She provides coaching, and you can contact her. I do the testing. I show you what's out of whack. I help you stratify your risk, because sometimes it's knowing that you are killing yourself from the inside out. That is your motivation. But she's the motivation person. And I'm the person that says, here are your metrics, and this is why you need to do this. Because if you don't do this, yes, you're not going to be around for whatever it is that is your reason for worrying about this. Pain will only take you so far.
Yeah, that's something that I do with coaching is literally get to know right where you're at. You know, working with Dr. Miller, it's easy because he's going to say like, oh, this is what your microbiome looks like. Here's where you need to go. And literally, I'm like I can be your cheerleader. I can be your best friend. I can be that strict finger that says, hey, don't do that. Knock that off. We're on track to do this, because, or whatever. Like I ask the clients I work with, I ask them like, hey, what level of coaching do you want from me? Do you want me to be strict? So I can be strict. I can keep you, really accountable. Most people that doesn't work. It's when doing nutrition intervention, a lot of times people just need slow, gradual changes. Like Doc mentioned, it's just small habit forming, not too restrictive. It never sticks around long as far as a habit if it's too hard to keep to or too restrictive. But yeah, I have my nutrition coaching certification through IU School of Medicine, Macro Millionaire, Macro Missionary, and I have a mentor coach too that helps me be a better coach for you guys too, for my clients.
Well, I'm going to have to bow out. I actually have a guest in from Arizona, so I do appreciate your time. Any questions that anybody has, Val, you can forward those to me in an email. Otherwise, that's my part in helping people heal. I can help you figure out what you're allergic to. I can look at your genetics and tell you what you have the genetic predisposition to. I can look at your biome and tell you if your biome is looking good or not. Those are the things that I do. I do monitor patients, but it's not on a daily like what Val does. So it is a team effort. With that being said, I'm going to step out. I've been extremely rude to my cousin in from Arizona, so I have to go and say I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.